So we're here at Metropolis Studios with Stephen Slate, who is a bit of an enigma, which is a good thing.
Is it a good thing?
It is a good thing because of all the people that I've been around and interviewed, you're the one people have gone, oh, you're going to meet Stephen Slate.
Actually, the reason, I don't do this, because I want to, it's not like I'm not monetarily motivated. I'm motivated because I absolutely love what I do. And again, it goes back to me being my own customer.
Yeah.
And how do I want to be treated as a customer? And how do I want to be treated, when I deal with other companies? I think part of, the fun of business really is interacting with customers. I've literally talked to other business owners like, oh, this business would be so great if it weren't for these pesky customers. And I'm just like, what the hell does that mean? It doesn't relate to me at all, where I'm like, man, if I go a day and I don't interact with customers, it's a day where I'm unhappy. You're right, I deal with customers every day on forums. We have our own Facebook group now with over 20,000 members. And I love talking with them and hearing what plugins they like, hearing what they don't like, hearing what's good, what's bad, hearing their music. That's kind of what motivates you and inspires you, as a business owner and also a product designer. To me, what keeps things ticking is seeing the reaction from the audience. It's almost like a performance. So it's almost like, if I was in a rock band playing to empty seats, that doesn't make sense. I want to interact with my audience.
Yeah. No, it's cool. One of the things that struck me from going back to your original samples was how much I used them as a learning tool. Because I suddenly had access to sounds that I could go, I really want to achieve that.
Sure.
And this is quite a way into my career. And I'm still going, well, hang on, these are really good, and this is how they fit in a mix. Because that was the main part, was you were EQing and compressing and shaping those samples to fit in a dense mix, weren't you?
Yeah.
As an initial thing.
Well, back then it was really important because, there was some samples flying around, and most of the samples back then were just like one-offs that someone would record in session and would get traded around. And, at the time I was quite young and I wanted to get the attention of some of these really big mixers. So I was like, man, I have to make these things so polished and ready that the goal with the initial samples, and even like the initial first 10 were the biggest at the time, at least. And it was the kind of thing where I said they should throw up this fader and it should be done. And that was always the goal. So I remember I tested them a lot and really tested them in full mixes to get them sounding finished. And it was great for me at the time because not many people were having finished sounding samples like that with the rooms. And
Clear Mountain, he did his samples in the late 80s. And they were great, but I didn't get to use those properly until I learned how to get those sounds by knowing what I wanted to achieve. And as I say, it was a real learning tool. And then to see you going in and maybe taking it down to, I can't even remember, my friend is a massive fan of, the different types of zones. So you have the close, the close with a bit of ambience and all that. But to go to that care and attention and then still say, well, hang on, this is still in development, so we're giving that to you for free. Still for it was just like, it's a really amazing business model. And
cool.
And I hate to call it that because it isn't. It's obviously a passion. But it's come out like that. It's really good.
Awesome.
Yeah. So some of the stuff that I wanted to talk about, you may not be able to give me an answer on. It's kind of a product ideas and where you may see yourself going or not going. Have you thought about anything to do with live sound and porting stuff to live?
Now especially that we're in the microphone business, that's obviously an easy one to fall into, and there's definitely some developments happening there. Nothing so concrete that I can make an announcement out, but obviously it's going to be something we're going to be very interested in looking at and developing.
And how do you see do you see people resistant to your way of thinking sometimes of like, for example, with the virtual microphone systems and things? Do you see a resistance to that because of snobbery?
Oh yeah, we always see resistance. You get resistance to anything that's new. Especially in a creative art like recording. You have people who are very emotionally attached to certain things, especially if they've worked hard to earn it. Picture this. Picture you're, let's say, a mid-level commercial studio owner. You've worked hard for 10, 15, 20 years. You've earned money. You've reinvested back into your studio. You've bought some nice classic mics that you spent thousands of dollars on. You're proud of these microphones. You remember every dollar, that you earned to pay for them. And then along comes some asshole out in New Jersey saying, hey, I have emulated all those mics in one mic and it's all virtual and it's $1,000. Now, if someone's not quite in the right mindset, that can almost be a little bit, invasive into their world. So I can see why some people have seen, been slightly, hesitant or even intimidated. But at the end of the day, listen, the product is great. People love it. And you know what? Tons of pros who even have the mics. Greg Wells has the 251s. He loves it. He's using it in London. Ross Hogarth, Mitch Allen, Sting just did a shootout on it and it won against the real 251. And then the mixer engine ended up using the 800 model. So we've got a lot of great people using these mics. Sylvia Massey, Mishka Butler. I mean, it just goes on. And people, a lot of pros have validated these mics. But yeah, listen, if you've got an old vintage mic collection and you're happy with it and you're making music, I don't care. Make great music. If you've got a big console and you like using that and you're making great music, do it. Don't be mad at the technology. No. Just life's too short to be mad at technology. Just,
I mean,
do your thing. Make your music, be creative, have fun, and let other people have their fun too. Because there's a lot of people who are doing great stuff on a lot of the new gear. They'll never be able to afford this, and that's fine too.
I find there's a bit of nostalgia for stuff that maybe people shouldn't be nostalgic about because they probably don't even remember it.
Sure.
For me, it's all about workflow, session flow.
Yeah.
The thing about the smaller microphone system, the instrument mic system, is like there's a project that I could be involved in very shortly.
Yeah.
It involves going around to some different places with different musicians.
Right.
Guerrilla recording with a laptop out somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And that's
it'd be fantastic for that.
Yeah. So the George Massenburg ethic of do no harm on the way in.
Yeah.
Capture it as hot.
Oh yeah, that's a fantastic use for the ML2s. Yeah.
Yeah. And that just I was thinking about it. It kind of equates to my appreciation of the Kemper profiling amp, whereby you've got tools here that work. You can get access to them if something horrendous happens. You can keep moving, and you can make those decisions afterwards, knowing you've done as much as you possibly can to get it done.
Well, it keeps the options open for sure. It gets you creative. Like I said, an engineer just did this mic shootout on Sting. Apparently, he's got a few hits to his name, and they compared the 251 VMS to an original 251. Now they went with the VMS, but then in the mix,
he changed.
He threw the 800 on. He goes, wow, that just ended up working better. Yeah. Now that's something that never would have been able to have happened had you not used this tech. And, so I think it's fun, it's creative, and that happens a lot. I've done that same scenario a few times where I choose one mic on the way in, and then in the mix, I'm like, let me mess around. I go, you know what? Now that the whole track's built up, this mic sounds better.
Yeah.
So I think it's just fun, man. The ML2s, though, are just a blast.
Yeah.
Especially if you record things mostly dry, you go, all right, let's just have, and you sit there in the mix and you go, let's have some fun. Let's copy the kick mic and have two phase lock different mic models on it, and all of a sudden you're just building this amazing sound, and it's just fun. It's fun.
Well, I guess that's the essence, isn't it? I mean, we get a lot done in our sessions. I work with some of the funniest people who aren't meant to be funny at all. The Sabbath guys are meant to be doom and gloom, but they're fun, and it's about. I've seen some mistakes made around them because people have not just been able to move stuff along. So that kind of brings me to, do you do much of your own stuff for fun anymore? I guess with.
Well, you know what I get to do now? Now I have to tie it. Oh, geez. Sorry, I'm breaking your
That's all right, it was already
here.
broken.
All right, let me make sure it's still recording. Okay, good. It's still got me. Now what I do is I tie it to the business in a way where I can multitask or multi-purpose things.
Right.
So I'll do a mix. I did this mix for this great band called Slightly Left of Center in Australia. Okay. And I'm also going to use that as a tutorial for the business. So it's like I get to have some fun, but it's my time is a little delicate these days with all the stuff I'm doing. So if I can mix a band and also be able to tie it into the business, that's all the better. So I'm doing that. I just did, and that's happened a few times actually. I did another mix for a friend of mine. It's a great song. There's a lot of cool lessons in here, so I bring that into the Everything bundle. Now people can download that, and that's so I get to have a little fun. Now, one thing I got to do at some point is I got to record some of my own tunes.
Yeah, because what was your band? Black
Blackline, yeah. That was back in the day. Now I got a whole bunch of cheesy pop tunes I want to record, and hopefully I'll get some time. I mean, my goal is once the VRS-8 is out and once that damn distressor plugin's out, then I'm gonna take some time off.
Are you taking stick about the distressor? Are you?
Oh my God, it's been pretty crazy.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, with that plugin, it's funny. I mean, in software production and development, there's no finite set timeline that you can always predict. Weird stuff happens in development, and with the distressor, we learned that box just kept on getting crazier and crazier, and we just kept on saying to ourselves, man, this is we're putting band-aids on code and band-aids on code, and finally we wiped the slate clean. And now it's doing really great, though. Good. So we're expecting, in fact, as soon as I get out of London, I'm going back, and Fabrice is there in Los Angeles now, and we're tweaking, hopefully, the final stages of that.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun plug.
Yeah.
Great box, so.
Yeah, well, it is, isn't it? I mean, and again, it's got like so many different uses. It's, lead vocals the other day. It was like, that shouldn't really work, but it was like, oh, that's perfect.
I love it on Vox. Yeah.
This is what I love about access to what you give everyone as that, the everything bundle is. I don't have to use everything, but if something my go-to, say, it might be a Fab filter or a DSP, maybe that's not working. Yeah. And then suddenly it's like, let's try one of these, and it just changes your mindset.
Sure.
And that availability for it is just it allows you to actually listen to what's happening rather than. I find the old-fashioned, the remakes of Pultex and stuff like that, and the 1176 is just kind of push you down a route. Right. Sometimes of like, oh yeah, that's got to sound good because it's an 1176. You don't listen enough, but I find. It's a great teaching aid. I do master classes at universities for people, and it's like, here's 3 or 4 ways of doing it. And your stuff's always in there as one of the ways.
Right. I think what's cool about our stuff, to me, personally, when I'm working, is the fact that I can save custom channel strips in the mix rack makes me just go faster.
Yeah.
So now if you look at, and this is all going to be released to the Everything Bundle, I have starter strips of my dream strips for certain purposes. Like, so for vocals now, I have the London preamp. I've got the custom series EQ, and I've got the vintage blue FET compressor, and then I've got Revival, and then just in case I want another compressor, I've got another compressor in the chain, is the red FG401 on the opto circuit too. So, and I have that in a little list. So if I'm starting to mix on the vocals, I just pull that chain up, and boom, everything I want for vocals is there. Everything, and I have a drum channel, I have a drum room channel, guitar channel, so I can set up a mix in 10 minutes and have all my processing there, every EQ, every compressor, every reverb, and then I can just immediately start dialing stuff in. So I'm a big fan of just having stuff in front of you, having the chain there. It's kind of one of the cool things about like channel strips on the SSL consoles. Like, you have your EQ, your compressor, your gate expander. It's all right there in front of you. You can just start tweaking. And that's why you talk to a lot of great rock mixers on SSLs, and a lot of them just stick to what's going on the board. Yeah. Andy Wallace being one that's a great one. I mean, he hears that sound in his head, and all the processing's right in front of him. He just goes for it.
I think that's
the same thing with the plugins.
He changed my whole approach a few years ago. I worked with Brad from Rage, and I went back to their original album. Yeah, and it was like, wow, he just did SSL. Great band in a room, PA blasting, SSL outboard gear, very little,
Yeah,
and a couple of
LA3As and some PCM 41s.
Exactly, and you're just like, fuck, up your game. You can achieve this just with such simple stuff. And again, I think that's true. It's about that workflow. It's about that mindset of like going. I mean, I know we've got screens here, and I'll talk about those, but getting away from screens where you're just with a mouse doing this. It just doesn't feel like you're part.
Well, I'm not a mouse guy. In fact, that's why, having the Ravens is so important to me, especially when I'm starting a mix. One of the first things I need to do is I need to balance stuff. And now going back and having a mouse every single fader, especially the track counts that are coming in these days, I mean, it's pretty nuts. But even, with Virtual Mix Track, when you have your whole chain in front of you, I can tweak a whole chain. I go very fast when I'm mixing. Because when I hear it in my head, I just need to match it. I'm just trying to match what's up here. So being able to just reach out and twist some knobs really quick on the touchscreen has been really great.
So what led to this? I mean, obviously that whole
yeah, I mean
that's what
it was. It's just it's to me that mixing is a creative art. When you're on a console, you're able to execute that creativity in a very efficient way. And as soon as we went to the mouse, it takes that away. And in my opinion, also to a control surface is even worse to me. Because to me, a control surface is you've limited yourself to only a few faders and a bunch of generic knobs, which control a multitude of things or don't, depending on what they can and can't do.
Yeah.
So that's why
everything's kind of offset from that direct connection.
Yeah, it's direct connection. Not to mention, then you have your screen here with the stuff, and you have stuff here, and you're back and forth trying to validate whether the move you did is moving the right knob, and that was just a mess for me. So I said, you know what, get all the junk out of here, just turn the screen into the control surface, and it's been amazing.
And again, that's like you said about the distressor plugin. You went through a couple of sort of versions of the Raven, didn't you? You started off with a bigger.
Yeah, well, we started the bigger one. I mean, we've got
and that had faders, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, no. Oh, I'm sorry. I see what you're saying.
Old...
So at one point we tried to just make a monitoring console, and which was available with other hardware packs of faders. But I was like, this is horrible. Yeah. It never saw the light of day because I was like, this is not how you can't mix this way. It was just terrible. And again, once I realized, I'm like, why are we trying to put junk in between the engineer and the workstation? Just go right to the workstation. And once I did that, I'm like, okay, this is fast.
Yeah.
You know, like if the plugin is right there in the screen and I can tweak the knobs, why do I need a box in the middle of us? It just didn't make sense to me.
So it goes back to you being your own worst critic, and it being all about what you would want to. That's great, and and you have access to an incredible team. I mean, you could call them beta testers, like every engineer in the world that is doing this is your. He's feeding back to you because you're an approachable guy, and we all want it to work. Sure. And so it must feel good to to have.
Oh, it's great. And the cool thing about the Raven tech is as we get beta testers and we get feature requests, the software is really the heart of it, and it's virtual, and we can keep updating. I mean, now the Raven has gone through 10 different software updates. Now we've got gestures, we've got the batch commands, we've got the digital assistant, we've got all kinds of crazy features that just make mixing and editing, whether you're music or film or broadcast, it's really fast. So, and again, we would not have been able to do that had it not been a virtual console.
Yeah. How do you feel? Is there sometimes is it awkward working because other people's software influences, like the manufacturer's Pro Tools, software Logic,
we've been very lucky that all the DAW manufacturers have been kind enough to work with us, and we have not really had any issues. I mean, sometimes.
No, I mean, like we don't want them doing this with our product.
I mean, sometimes, if they update something graphically and we've got to fix our graphics, but usually my team's pretty fast in this kind of stuff. So I think, for instance, Logic had an update which changed the internal mixer layout, and it took us about a month or so to really lock that in. That's probably the worst delay we've had in terms of something like that. But everyone seemed to be fine with it.
That's really cool. Awesome. So the big purpose, I guess, is for you being here is to show the whole integration of everything that you're doing. You've wheeled into a big studio, which kind of a lot of us do. The desks unfortunately sit here, and we use the monitoring environment. Right. But we like the rooms.
Exactly.
So what's the process that's going to be happening this weekend?
We're debuting the virtual recording studio. Yeah. Which starts with the VRS-8, which is our new Thunderbolt interface. Yeah. And Rick Simpson, of Coldplay fame and other great bands he's worked with, is going to be recording a fantastic band. And he's going to be using all of our virtual microphone technology, including our little ML2s and ML1s, and into our interfaces, 16 channels of our interfaces, and then mixing it with the Logic and all of our Everything Bundle plugins. So it's going to be a complete, from the very front end to the very mix and master, all Slate production. And it'll be very interesting to see how he does his thing, because he's extremely talented and he gets amazing sounds.
Yeah, and he's got a short day to kind of pull it all together, so that should be interesting.
It should be, yeah.
There'll be a lot of people scrabbling around in the background supporting.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Awesome. So is there anything else you'd like to talk about? I mean, I guess you're talked to death, looking at interviews with you. Is there anything that you're really passionate about outside of this? Do you have any hobbies and shit that we don't know about?
I guess my big hobby outside of audio, and I think people do know about it, is my love of meat and barbecue. I mean, that's really my thing. When I want to just kind of cool off and put my mind at ease, I'll be smoking a brisket for 10 hours and watching my fire. And I got I think 4 or 5 smokers now, but I got one really big one called a Lang. It's a offset, smoker and stick burner, and it's nothing more fun than cooking up a nice piece of meat and inviting a bunch of friends over and serving up some barbecue. So
awesome. So you'll be doing that next week? Yeah, I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, I'll be doing it next week for sure. Oh yeah.
Great. Well, thank you ever so much for your time.
Thanks so much.
It's been a pleasure to meet you.
Thanks, Mike.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cheers.